All right, and we are live. Welcome, everyone, to episode 39 of Narrations and Lamentations with Matiram and the Boys. I am Matiram, your host, and with me, as always, are the boys, Skip and Michael. Say hi, fellas.
Hello.
So, tonight's episode is going to be kind of a strange pickup from the topic of the week. For those who have been paying attention, the topic of the week for the Warhammer YouTubers has been how you got into Warhammer. Now, Skip and I have both answered that, and Michael has not because he's lazy and doesn't put out content. But what I'm kind of interested in having a discussion on is, where do you go next? You've started Warhammer, you've got your primary army. What about the second one? How do you grow what you have? How do you stretch out into a different army? And so we're going to talk a little bit about our experiences in getting that second or third or fourth or, in my occasion, fifth army. So that's really where we're going to be focused on. But before we get there, let's go ahead and talk hobby time. What have you fellas been working on this week? Not all at once, guys.
This is my PMP submission this month. 10 Wildwood Rangers.
You know they've got to be some other color than gray before you can submit them, right?
Right.
Okay.
This is the before picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The before picture. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hip to that. So what about you, Michael? What's been on your plate?
Nothing.
You slack ass. So what have you been doing? You don't put out content for YouTube. You're not painting anything. You still have about.
I've been playing The Witcher 3, so that's kind of been preoccupying my time.
Wow.
Slack
so
ass. So on my hobby table, I have been experimenting with magnetization this week. I am working on this bad boy right here, my Stegodon, but I decided rather than just do it as one set and then have to buy two more for the different builds, I was going to try my hand at magnetizing all three of the builds, whether it's your basic Stegodon, your ancient Stegodon with the blowpipes, or the ancient Stegodon with the engine of the gods. And I think I've pretty much got them all magnetized. It's been kind of a pain in the butt working with these little magnets, and in at least one case, with the magnets make them not quite fit together perfectly, but it's certainly serviceable enough to get painting started. So that's it's taken me like 4 days to get that to get it assembled to the point where I think I can start painting it. So that's what I've been working on all week. But hopefully I'll get some painting time in, and then you guys will see it in a battle report very, very shortly. So that leads us into tonight's topic, as I don't think there's any other preamble stuff for us to do. First, I actually want to say, for Skip and I have both done the where we got started in Warhammer thing on various videos. Michael, since you're lazy, I'm actually going to put you on the spot now and make you answer that question right now. How did you get into Warhammer?
Well, originally I played 40K way back in the day, and I was young and I was an idiot and thought, yeah, cool, I'm gonna play this, and it was a bad idea because I went to tournaments and I had 3 armies and I was not a nice person. And
So
then,
not much changed.
and then I ended up just not playing. I basically cold turkey 40K, and I have remnants of my armies. I don't know where the rest of them are though. But anyway, and then we were sitting around one day, and you were talking about getting back into Warhammer, and it's like, yeah, I'll play Warhammer. I get to be the dwarves, and bought the dwarves.
Let me rephrase, because I remember verbatim what your question was that got you in. I was talking, and I was kind of hard selling Skip and getting back into it because he was the one most resistant. And then I looked to Michael and I said, well, what do you think? And his response was, and I quote, can I play dwarves? And I was like, yes. Like, I'm in.
I mean, it was a pretty obvious answer. My dwarf love extends to all.
Right. So that was literally all it took to get him in.
Pretty simple.
So, needless to say, my first big army was ogres. It's kind of what I'm more known for playing. Michael, your first army was dwarves, and after a couple of hiccups, we're going to call Skip's first army Bretonia.
Yes.
So, first question for our discussion: what made you decide to get a second army?
Well, I know for me, it was I wanted to be able to play around with something else. I mean, yes, I have unknown amounts of dwarf love, but after a while, I wanted cavalry, not just the same old. I'm gonna cast on shoot you with cannons in magic.
All right, Skip. What about you?
Basically, it was the exact opposite for me. You know, I had cavalry, all of it, so I wanted to try something a little bit different as well, and do something, you know, other than charge and die.
For me, I would have to actually say my second army. Well, first uh, I already had the vampire counts thing because of a trade I did with Skip that got him Bretonia. But the other sort of first army I had was Empire, which is the old army I had when I played back in high school. So it really wasn't me sort of picking up a new army. It was more just kind of developing a little bit the army that I already had. So that being the case, what was the sort of the next army you guys tried out, and what made you pick that particular army?
Beastmen.
And what made you pick that army?
I still don't know. I don't think I was in my right mind when I did it. I love the
Okay.
Beastmen. I love the Beastmen, but there are so many other armies I could have picked from, and for some reason my brain was like, yeah, go with the army that doesn't have a new book or have a lot of new models, and you can't really find all the models for anyway. So I might have made a hasty decision.
Mm-hmm. So what about you, Skip?
I think my second one was Dark Elves, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
That I stuck with. So I guess my ears started growing pointy a little bit then, before they've grown full point, almost full pointy now. And I liked them because it was totally different than Bretonia. Totally
Mm-hmm.
different. Yeah.
So,
More magical lores, more stuff like that.
mm-hmm. Now for me, I would probably say again, because of Skip and I, and we talked about this a little in our videos. We kind of shuffled and exchanged armies for a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
back and forth for a little while. But I would have to say probably the second army that I really, for the purposes of our discussion at any rate, went into was Demons. Um, Demons of Chaos. And I'll be honest, the part of the reason why I decided to go with Demons is that some of the models just look so freaking weird. Um, I liked the screamers of Tzeentch and the look of them, and the hell can or not the hell cannon, the blood cannon, and just they look so strange. And after you paint an entire army full of basically kind of semi-uniform fat guys and little noblars, going with something where each unit was very, very different certainly appealed to me. Um, So we kind of know where we got into. Let me ask you this: how did you engage that purchasing and starting that new army? What did you do? What were your first purchases? Was it planned ahead of time, or was it just let me sweep a bunch of crap off this shelf into a box and go?
I guess the first thing for me was I got the book and looked at it and decided from the book, yeah, this is something that I want. I love the way the models looked. And I'm trying to remember I think the first purchase I made was the Dark Elves from, what's that company? Where you got your drawers from? The name escapes me.
Mantic.
Mantic. Yeah, that was the first purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did you purchase that just because you like those sculpts better, or was it a financial consideration, or what?
It was a finance. I didn't realize that they were so small. They just don't look right. That's why the only thing I use out of them now is just the bolt throwers.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tuck them away. I may pull them out here and repaint them now that I'm getting a little bit better at it. Maybe I can salvage a little bit from it. But
the elves always did look a little scrawny. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So what about you, Michael? It sounds like Skip at least kind of set up a plan by you getting the book and sort of planning where he wanted to go with it. What was your approach with the Beastmen?
Well, like the Beastmen, I just said, why not? And decided, here's a battalion and a couple boxes and a book. Just give me it all at once. I don't need it to be spaced out. I don't need to decide to spend this much. I'm just going to.
So do you feel that your chaotic approach has helped you in forming an army of Beastmen?
I mean, it definitely helped once I got the book and realized what I had. But, when you get the battalion first and you open it up and you go, I've got no clue what any of this is. And you got to wait a couple days to get the book to realize, I do actually have an army.
Yeah, that was actually the funny part about Michael getting the Beastmen is he had the models way before he had the book. And I think to a certain degree, your kind of more chaotic way of going to it has led your army to have some weird things in it and be lacking some weird things. I mean, other than your Ungor Raiders, you have really no chaff in the army.
Well, I just picked up more chaff for the dogs. I mean, that was, a couple months ago?
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you've got no chariots, no razor gores. The only monster you've got is the Gorgon.
He's the only monster I need.
Oh, okay. And, I mean, you only have... You have 3 Minotaurs and no Doom Bull. Or do you have a Doom Bull?
No, I got Doom Bull.
Yeah. So, I mean, your army has a lot of kind of strange holes in it, I think.
It does.
Now... Now, for me, I got lucky in that I was really planning my purchase, or rather planning to get into the demons around Christmas, and I have a very generous mother. So she's like, just make me a list of what you want for Christmas. So I went to the GW website and basically copy and pasted everything with the word Slaanesh in it. With the exception of the Keeper of Secrets, which I still think is an ugly model. But I ended up getting a different model and making my own keeper. So yeah, I pretty much was like, all right, I'm going to do Slaanesh, so I'm going to get everything that says Slaanesh on it. And I'll be honest, I really wasn't expecting her to do that, but come Christmas, I had everything on the list that had Slaanesh in its name. Which helps, because then I had like months worth of painting all ready to go. Kind of the same way I did with the Lizardmen. The Lizardmen was this past Christmas's thing, and I'm still working on them now. Or maybe it was birthday. I think Alicia's yelling that they were birthday. But anyway, so here is my question. Do you regret the way you approached it? Do you feel that it made you make some mistakes, get some things that you wouldn't have otherwise got, or do you feel pretty happy with how you progressed that first lot for that second army?
I think I did pretty well. I mean, I'm not regretting. The only thing I really regret, well, we'll get into that later, but I think I pieced it together pretty well. I've got a lot of different options now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just me learning to play them now is what's going to be the thing. But I think the models, and especially in the Dark Elves, are really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the older sculpts are pretty good too. So.
Right. Mm-hmm. What about you, Michael?
I mean, to an extent, but I don't think I regret how I purchased them. I think it's more I regret that I didn't purchase more of what I got. Because, had I gotten 2 battalion boxes, I'd have a lot more Ungors. I'd have a lot more Gores. If I had bought 2 boxes of Minotaurs, my army basically needs double the size it is to be effective.
Mm.
So you definitely don't feel like you're at a stopping point with that second army?
Oh, no. The elves and the dwarves are easily at a point where I don't need to buy anything else for them. The beastmen need some extra stuff.
Okay. I have to say there are certain minor regrets I hold for the Demon's Army, and mainly that's that I dove so heavy into Slaanesh and Nurgle without really thinking about the other 2 gods. And so now I find myself going, you know what, it would be cool to have a unit of Bloodletters or some, like the Corn Dogs and their special characters, stuff like that. But it was just kind of a brief thing as I've blown on to other armies. So now we've discussed a little bit about our assembly of the second armies. Let me ask you this. Do either of you remember your first game with your new armies?
Oh, with the second army?
With the second army, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you this. How do you think... Because we all kind of answered that we wanted something different from our primary army. How easy was it to make that mental switch from the tactics you were using in your first army to those that your second army requires? How easy is it to kind of go back and forth between the two?
My first game-wise, it was extremely easy to just go, oh, well, this is a new army. Let me just play them however I want to and see how they click.
Mm-hmm.
After that, though, I've watched myself kind of, anytime I've come into a difficulty with the Beastmen, I revert into Dwarven tactics of, well, let's just hold here, and we'll withstand it. And Beastmen do not do that. Beastmen either keep moving forward or die.
I remember more than a few games where that ended up costing you the game. Now, Skip, I'll phrase the question a little bit differently for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because given the entire video series you did on it, your struggles with coming to grips with the Dark Elves borders on the legendary. So let me ask it this way. Of the problems that you had, how much do you think coming from Bretonnia as your primary army contributed to that?
I think setting up for Bretonnia is a lot different than setting up for Dark Elves. Where to position your troops, what's going to be the best thing to do. I mean, it's easy to put 2 or 3 lances on one side of the board and then charge the heck out of people. It's different when you've got different, like, ground troops and everything. And then you've got a whole variety of magic that I didn't have before with Bretonnia too. So you have to think about, well, what's going to be the best lore to take? How is this going to work with this particular unit? It's been, and as you see from the videos, and there's probably more to come. It's been difficult. It's been fun, but it's been difficult.
Mm.
Yeah.
I agree. I think for me, the biggest thing from going from uh, ogres to demons is remembering that immune to psychology demons can't flee. Um, I'm so used to like throwing cats up in the way or little Noblar units and doing some baiting stuff, and I know easily in my first 5 games with the demons, I made a flee reaction that was illegal. Every damn game, and at least one of them showed up on a battle report, and no doubt I got a billion. You can't flee with demons, dumbass. No, everyone was very nice, but it was one of those. I mean, when you go from playing an army like the ogres, that's. I mean, let's be honest, it's pretty normal as far as general rules go, to something like demons that has all sorts of extra stuff, and some rules where you just don't participate in that type part of the game, it becomes hard. And remembering the Reign of Chaos table was another one that was a pain in the butt for me to get across. And it just started beating me to death, so I was like, maybe I should just forget about the Reign of Chaos table.
Looks
So,
okay for me.
oh, shut up. So it definitely sounds like we've all had fun with our second armies. But as anyone who has followed the channel for any length of time knows, none of us stopped at that second army. In fact, I think at this point, Michael actually has the least number of armies amongst us with only 3. Because you've got 4, right, Skip?
Bretonnia,
No.
Dark Elves, Wood Elves, Dwarves, and I have 5, and I have Tomb Kings.
All right. And I have 5 as well. So here's the question. Why'd you go on? What about that first and second army just didn't do it for you, that you felt, I gotta have something else?
Have you watched my video series on why I suck at Warhammer? That's why I went with another army.
So
It's
just
not the army. It's the army's doing it. It's not my fault.
Just because you didn't win?
Yeah, seriously.
Was that it? Okay.
Seriously.
Well, that's as valid an answer as anything else. What about you, Michael?
Because I'm insane and I don't know how to save money.
I'm right with you there, brother. For me, it was kind of like, well, I already have these 2 partial armies, so I might as well bump them up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, ooh, dwarves are cool. I used to like playing them. And the new book just came out. And for me, I think it was more just my addiction to collecting. This was something new and cool I could collect. And then it was like when I got the dwarves and I started playing them, and I realized, you know what? I don't really like these. After I had put in all of the effort to buy the whole army and to paint them all up and to play them, and I'm just like, wow, I didn't think that one through. I think that's what made me slow down. And I mean, I traded Skip and got the Warriors, and I really like the Warriors, and I've done definitely some work on those. But as far as getting my 5th army, the Lizardmen, I took a lot more time. And I sat down and thought about it and was like, you know what? Do I really want to do this? Is this something that's going to interest me both from a gameplay aspect and a hobby aspect? And that actually was a different point for me. With going for the others, I never really paid much attention to whether it would interest me in a hobby side of things. I never looked at it from the, would this be fun to paint? It was primarily, this is what I want to play and what I want to make stories about, and blah, blah, blah. And so I think that definitely shows kind of a change in what I'm looking for in my Warhammer, if that makes any sense. So let me ask this: what has been the best army? I mean, obviously, I think we all agree our primary armies are the best, or the most beloved. Of the armies that we've added on, what has been your best experience overall? Whether modeling, whether playing the game, whatever. What's your best so far?
I would say the Wood Elves. In fact, the Wood Elves are catching up to Bretonium in my
Oh,
book.
really?
I'm really enjoying. I love the lore. I love the models. I mean, these Wildwood Rangers are really cool, and I'm looking forward to painting them. And I haven't looked forward to paint anything in quite some time. So
I think Skip's getting some woodland fever. What do you think, Michael?
yeah,
It's insane.
Right. So what about you, Michael? Which one of the three has been your best?
Well, of the three, it's obviously the dwarves.
Right.
But
Okay.
as for secondary, and it's sad to say because I am such a dwarf lover and I hate the I hate the high elves to the core because they started that stupid war because they were too arrogant to apologize. But
Right.
modeling wise, I love the high elves. I mean, I hate their helmets, but God, the rest of the models are they're great sculpts. They're
they
easy
are
to
cool.
paint, they're easy to go through. They've got nice designs. Their shields are amazing. Their monsters are cool.
Right. So, let me ask you this: if that's your favorite, why did you not choose to bring them into the narrative for this current campaign we're running?
Because while we're going to the narrative, I knew I need to get the models painted, which if I'm going to do that, I'm going to end up having to hurry through. The high elves, I really just don't want to have to hurry through them.
So it was mainly a hobby consideration for you then?
Yeah, because I mean, worst part I would do is I'd likely go run through them, paint them as quickly as possible, and then be disappointed in how they look.
I can definitely see that. For me, I don't know. I'm in general a very fickle person. I have moods of the moment. I certainly think at the moment my favorite of those secondary armies is the Lizardmen. I've been having a lot more fun painting them than I expected to. And Vince will crow at this, but I even like the basing and how it looks on them. Um, uh, and so I think, and they're unique. They're very different from any other army in the Warhammer world, and I'm liking that. But hand in hand with that, I'm also having a hell of a lot of fun with the Warriors. And as I was kind of decide which one I liked better. I think it comes down to the fact that they both have really cool big monsters, and I like really cool big monsters. I like my Slaughter Brute. I like my Chimera. I mean, even the Trolls, just big, nasty, monstrous-looking sons of guns. Which I guess may be part of the reason why I like the Ogres so much, is that's another thing they share as well. So, we've talked about the best. What's the worst? Is there one of your armies that you feel has been a disappointment, that hasn't given you what you thought you'd get out of it?
I think for me, it's the Tomb Kings, and there's a reason I say that.
Mm-hmm.
One, I haven't had a chance really to play them. You know, that's true. But I don't have any real investment in them because the way I got them, I just traded stuff for them. So I think out of my entire army, and I could field a pretty big Tomb King army right now, I paid maybe $25 to $30 for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think that I'm emotionally or financially not invested into it. So from my point of view, I'm like, well, that's why they're on the back burner. I wrote a pretty decent intro for bringing them into if I was going to use them in the new campaign, but just didn't have the to do it.
We should trade back our VC. I'll trade you the VC for the Tomb Kings, and I think you have more emotional investment in or at least investment of any sort in the VC than you do in the Tomb Kings.
Yep.
But to answer the question, since I made the comment, for me it's still the VC. I played them a lot in the practice games leading up to this campaign, and ultimately ended up switching out on them just because even with me painting what I've painted from them, there is a lack of that investment. And for me, it's more emotional investment. I don't really give a shit whether I pay money for it or not, but a lot of those models came painted. I mean, either Skip painted them or he bought them painted. So I haven't had to do any major, overarching work with them. So they've been kind of a freebie army. And I don't know. It hasn't, still hasn't clicked with me. I mean, there's definitely some things I've added to it. I tend to play with those things more than anything else. But again, I think there is a certain lack of that investment there as well. So, what about you, Michael?
I think most disappointing is the high elf mechanics.
Oh?
They're too easy to build a list that's broke.
Okay.
I mean, it's easy. I mean, I can sit there and go, and here's 1,000 points of just stuff that's broke.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel that is a fault of the High Elf book, or is that a fault of kind of our gaming group that we play generally fluffier than maybe the High Elf book was designed for?
It's a bit of both, because we already tie our hands a little bit with the fluff-wise, but there's nothing in the High Elf book that's bad. I can't look at one thing and go, well, I can't make a purpose for that. Everything in that army I can build a list around. And so,
don't the normal spearmen kind of suck?
Not really. I mean, you're looking at ASF, and I get 4 ranks of fighting. I mean, weapon skill 4, strength 3 is not great, but for a core unit is fantastic.
I guess I just never see anybody playing them in battle reports or anything. So.
Well, that's mainly because they max out like Reavers and Silver Helms.
And those Silver Helms are bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, and they're core. I can run an entire core of that.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're really that good. I've just had god-awful luck trying to deal with them, so they're just bullshit. That's just what that is.
No, yeah, but I mean, it's too easy to make a broken list. And I mean, like, I don't mind if I have to work a little bit to make it a really good list, that's fine with me. But the fact that I can sit there and just bullshit and throw in a couple different things that don't even make any sense, and it's just like, yeah, it's a good list.
So I was going to take a little break here to answer any comments, but apparently we're boring the shit out of our audience because nobody is talking back to us. Like, we've got a decent number of people watching. They're all just silent people. So make us feel loved, guys. Put comments in the comment section. It also helps us pad the show out.
Yeah.
So here is the next sort of natural follow to that question. How much is enough? How many armies do you see yourself owning? Do you see yourself continuing beyond what you have, or do you see yourself growing those armies to ridiculous, like 10,000 point totals? What's sort of where do you draw the line?
For me, it's about 3,000 points for each army. Once they're at a point where I can filled an easy 3,000 points, that's a solid, all right, I don't need to buy anything more. Because by then I've typically got one of everything, and I've got enough of what I want to have in it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything more than that, I'm just kind of overbuying.
So after you get these, because I mean your dwarves are already over 3,000 as evidenced by the fact that you went to brawlers.
Oh, yeah.
But once you get your current armies to 3,000, do you see yourself picking up another army and starting again,
I
or
mean,
is 3 enough?
it really depends on my mood at the moment when I've got money and I've got nothing else I need to buy. I mean, the only thing that I'm really wanting to build and paint up would be like an Empire Demon Hunter army.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, beyond that, it's not anything I've really gone, yeah, I'm gonna go out and buy all that right now. It's kind of like, when am I gonna
If
have time to paint it?
Yeah. So it's more if I don't have anything else, and if I stumble into the game store on payday, maybe
Right.
some Empire troops will be coming home.
Yeah. It's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. All right. What about you, Skip? Where's the line?
I think I've stopped with the number of armies I have, but as my ears grow more pointy, I'm thinking, maybe I could trade one of my other armies to get the high elves, and I'll have the trifecta in elves. You know,
Oh,
but
Jesus.
that would be the only change I would make. I don't have any interest in anything else. But I
Mm-hmm.
would like to have. I would be comfortable in having all the elf armies. You know.
Lord.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. And just for the
Sorry.
record, we don't allow the Legion armies, so he's not talking about like just getting a little
No.
sprinkling of high elves. He's talking about brand new high elf army.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Um, for me, I see. It's another one of those questions that's hard for me to answer because I am such a fickle person. Um, I go through these moods where I'm like, ooh, you know what? I could get this new army and blah 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 blah. But part of it, in a more pragmatic sense, is it's taken me so long to paint the lizard men I have. If I were starting another army from scratch right now, it would never get out of the box. I mean, it's taken me. I've worked on these lizard men for almost 6 months now, and I've still got quite a lot of work to do. If I were to start from scratch, it wouldn't happen. Um, but like, I could see myself like, I think Skaven would be fun. But again, your problem there is you're looking at 200 or so models to do a decent army, and no way that's happening. No way in the world. And certainly, I don't think I would go. Like, I don't think I would ever get to 6 armies. I think if I were to get a new army, unless somebody just like randomly mailed me an army, um, would be trading one of my current ones. And I'll be honest, the only one I could see myself doing that to without reservation would probably be my vampire counts, but we've gone over the problems with me doing that and how Alicia doesn't want me to because she has a strange emotional attachment to that army that I don't share, even though she's never played with it. But we're not going to go there. I don't understand it, but mine is not to reason why. So, um, but yeah, I don't see particularly. I mean, we play once a week, get a game or two in. I don't really see any need to have more than 5 armies. And it could probably be argued that I need way less than 5 armies, but they're at least enough to keep me happy and keep me rotating through things. So. All right, so we've been going about 45 minutes. We do have a few questions. Maybe we'll get into those and maybe it'll spark some thoughts, maybe not. So first few questions are from longtime friend of the show, Vincent Venturella. Question 1, is there any army that you sold that you regret and wish you still had?
Yeah, Beastman. I think I didn't give them a fair shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I've traded away the dwarves. Maybe Breton. Like, if I had to name one that I felt the least cool with having traded away, it probably was Bretonia. But even that, I'm not really. I mean, it might have been cool to play them for longer than I did, or to at all, because I don't know if I don't even remember if I got a game in with them before we traded. I'm thinking we didn't.
I don't think so.
But I mean, most of what I traded you was unpainted shit. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that would be the closest. But really, no, I don't have any regrets for getting rid of the dwarves. Certainly, my bigger regret with them is that I went with it in the first place. I mean, that whole thing was so impulse. And I should have held back and thought about that one for a little while longer. But I'm happy they made it to a good home, and I got the Warriors out of it. And frankly, I like the Warriors a hell of a lot better than the demon or the dwarves. So that's a good one. And Michael, you haven't sold any armies, right?
No, I once I spent that much money, I decided there's no reason to try and trade. Nobody wants Beastmen. I'm not going to sell my dwarves. Never. And the High Elves, I mean, if I got a wild hair, but frankly, I put a lot of money into buying them, so it did take a little bit to get rid of them.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't say nobody wants the Beastmen. That would be another army I could easily get convinced to get into. But unfortunately, you don't have the stuff that I like the most out of there. Like, I want the damn Jab.
I'm not
or the
buying
Jabbers.
that thing. It looks cool, but it is god awful.
Oh, you suck.
I'm not spending $60 for a model I'm never going to field.
I would love to have gotten some Centaurs.
I would field Centaurs and Jabber Slights all the time. That would be all I would field.
All you want to field is the just bad stuff from that army.
But well, all right. So let's be honest here. I think there's a challenge in taking the kind of shitty stuff that you really like and playing it. I think there's a certain challenge to that. And I mean, I think it could be argued. Now, I'm probably not going to make any friends here, and I'm going to come off as arrogant as shit. But whatever. I think it could be argued that I'm the best player amongst the three of us. Yeah. I'd listen to counter arguments there. So I think, I mean, I have been so far in both campaigns a relatively dominant force with different armies. I think it would be fun to take an army that is lackluster, for lack of a better word. Please don't hate me, Beastman players. It's just how they're looked at, and see if that disparity against skill versus the army list can make up for it. I mean, hell, Naren Zaid just this past week or so on a bet took Beastman to a one-day tournament and took first place. So I think there's something cool in that challenge. The idea of bringing a double Jabber Slice list and winning games, like, it's probably not going to happen, but my mind, like, loves the thought of trying.
I admire your wish to perform your own punishment upon yourself, but
right.
double Jabber Slice will not win.
You salute my sadism, or my masochism, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was going to take Tomb Kings to Brawlers.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go. Yeah, so, you know.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's something fun in the idea of that challenge. And so yeah, I mean that would be something I could easily see myself doing. Um, and I think it's just the same as like why I took the Lizard Man as a painting challenge. I think there are different things in this hobby that you can sort of take on and challenge yourself with, and it gives you an added level of enjoyment with it. I mean, does that make any sense, or am I just completely talking out of my ass?
No, that makes sense.
Apparently we're still not entertaining, though. Nobody's commenting. Or entertaining or thought-provoking, whichever one. Okay, so number 2. Is there an army you almost like, not for one small factor or item? What is that army, and what could be added to push you over the edge and collect it? New units, different aesthetic, rules change, new book, etc.
Maybe Skaven? If they got, I don't know. I really can't answer that because I've got the ones that I like.
For me, I'll go with me. For me, the army that I almost would get is Chaos Dwarves. But 2 things would have to happen. One, I would have to get the old school ones with the Pope hats, because I love that style and it's very nostalgic for me. And 2, they would have to get upgraded rules to at least make them sort of the same build as dwarves. Like, you'd have to get rid of that whole flee and pursue 1 inch less and that whole thing, and kind of build them more like off of a base of what the dwarves are now. But that would be my almost race, because there's like I would get them, but there's just enough in the way to make me not want to. So what about you, Michael?
And there's not really any armies that I particularly want.
Oh?
I mean, I've got my favorite dwarves. The Beastmen are just a fun whatever army where, oh, I lost. Darn. And then,
Unless,
I mean,
of course, I kill your BSB and then you lose it. So.
Yeah, well, I don't like my BSB getting killed.
That is, just for anybody who ever plays Michael, that is the easiest way to beat him in a game. Doesn't matter whatever else you do, as soon as you kill his BSB, he kind of loses it and starts making really irrational decisions. Like, it's really funny. It happens so often, like you could set your watch by it. It's just...
I don't know why it happens. I've tried to get myself out of it, but it's like it's wired into me. The dwarves know when the banners go down, the fight is over.
Well, the best part of it to me personally is that you don't do that with any other character. You don't do it with your general. You don't do it with any wizards. You don't even do it like in your campaign where when the characters are named and they're not in the BSB. You're like, fuck it, is a named character dead, whatever. But then nameless BSB man falls, you go to shit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what would push me over the limit with the Empire Demon Hunter idea is for them to add new models or to just add more bits that I could add to the models and make them more Demon Hunter-esque.
Such as?
Kind of like the 40k Grey Knights, where I could have because they come with a lot of different bits for we're holier than thou kind of stuff. That would be neat.
Well, there's a lot of like shields and stuff for the Empire that you can get with like the Karl Franz or the Sigmar skull and all that.
Yeah. But it's just they don't have quite the aesthetics that I want. I mean, it'd be easy for me to mod the aesthetics to it, but it doesn't.
Well, who knows? They're talking about with 9th edition bringing in that like Holy Knights unit or whatever. Maybe that would be enough to make it.
It probably will. They'll release it on the GW homepage, and I'll lose my mind and spend $500.
Right.
Because, you know. Why not?
So what about you, Skip? What would change about the Skaven to make you pick them up? You said they were your almost race.
Uh, if you wouldn't so many models. I mean, I have a hard time painting what I have.
Mm-hmm.
I had to double it with Skaven. But I mean, I love the randomness. I think that's you get into that, it's kind of fun. But it's just the painting wise is what will do it for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So question number 3. What is the worst kit you've ever bought for an army? Hardest to put together, to paint, etc. And what was the best?
Skeletons are always hard for me.
Yeah, I'll actually say, in terms of my worst, there's been only one kit that I have been completely unable to assemble by myself, and that's the Hexwraith kit from the Vampire Counts. The pieces are just so little and fiddly, and I'm fumble-fingered. I tried to put a couple of them together, and it just was not working, so I got frustrated with it. I was really afraid I was going to start breaking the pieces, so I finally handed them to Alicia, and I was like, put these together, because I can't do it. And so she had to assemble all 5 of the Hex Wraiths I had. I painted them, but she had to put them together because I couldn't do it.
Worst one for me are those
So what about
are those wood elf chicks on the stags.
the
Sisters
Sisters
of
of
the
the
Thorn.
Thorn?
Oh my god. Those things gluing them together. I've never been more filled with rage than when I set one to the side and I go to start doing the other one and I notice it's falling apart, even though I just sat there and held it for 10 minutes so it wouldn't fall apart. I've never wanted to throw things that I have spent money on across the room as badly.
Well, there's an easy fix to that. Pay Alicia to do it. That's what I did.
Yeah, and even she had one of the legs break, and it was pissing her off. I was sitting here hearing her curse like a sailor from the other room, trying
It
to get
is.
that kit together.
They just don't work right. They're elves, so they're already thin and frilly, and then they just go on top of that and go, and we're gonna make a model that's even thin and breakable for elf standards.
Right.
Just terrible.
Though I do have to say, I would put up a close second after the Hex Wraiths is those Mantic Dwarves. Just because those fuckers don't fit together right, and they're so big, they all hang over the edge of their space. So ranking them is such a pain in the ass. But so what was your best kit? Your favorite kit to put together and paint?
Peasants.
Peasants?
Love peasants.
Okay. What about you, Michael?
Um, Best kit that I put together and painted, I would say, are my hammerers for the dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
They glue easy. All their parts fit just right. They rank up perfectly. They're They're wonderful to paint.
Mm-hmm.
Something about the dwarves in general. All their models are just super easy to build.
They're shorter than everybody else. You don't have that much model to put together, so.
Uh,
Um, so for me, I'm gonna have one cheat answer and one real answer. My cheat answer is gonna be my kit bashed man eaters, the various man eaters I made. It's not really I kind of did my own thing with them, but they're probably the thing, at least up to this point, I'm the most proud of, because I know deep down that there is nothing like those models anywhere else in anyone else's army. I mean, there is nobody who has Sir Stomps a lot. I mean,
That 4 horse.
I swear to God, I got more comments about that stupid horse than I'm thinking of making a secondary model to that, just to be a smarmy jackass to everybody who did that, where it's just like a base, and then I'll get some of those water effects like Black Tower Terrain did for our terrain, and just make it look like blood, and then have like little broken bone bits putting out of it in like the horse's head, and then put the ogre on top of it like you just smash the thing flat into a puddle of goo.
That would be amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I think so. I may have to make that happen.
Wow.
But I think I'm the most proud of those beyond anything I've done, because they're mine. I mean, you can't argue that every bit of those models isn't me. But I also know that that's cheating and probably not the actual question that Vince wants to answer. As far as the best kit that I've enjoyed putting together and painting, as weird as it sounds, the first thing that pops into my head is the Slaughter Brute for the Warriors. Now, I didn't assemble that one. It came assembled, but I did paint it all. And it's just, there's something about it that looks so freaking badass when I put it on the field. Like, it makes me happy. Though I gotta say, like, there's a lot that I really like. Like, I liked the old metal Chaos Lord on the disc that I have, and my new Slon, Lord Tenok, even though people call him Spider Slon because of the colors I made. I don't know. There's a lot that I've very much enjoyed, but above and beyond all of them is my Man-Eaters. That's pretty easy. So, Skip, did you answer your? Oh, the peasants were your answer for your best.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So next question is from Nicholas Belair. He says, "Have you ever had an army that you decided you didn't like as much as you thought, but were so far invested you decided to stick with them anyway?" Yes, for me it's the vampire counts, and everybody knows that, so I'm not going to go into them anymore. What about you guys?
No, I mean, nothing for me. I mean, I didn't put any investment into the Tomb Kings, and I got the Dwarves from you,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the elves that I have, and I definitely like Bretonia. So,
Well, hey, let's be real for a second here, Skip.
okay,
That may be your answer now, but I think if you went back 6 months ago, you would have had a radically different answer. I think
that's true. I probably would have. I would have said the Dark Elves. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly sort of what he's talking about. Because I mean, there was a point with the Dark Elves where you would have traded them for a plug nickel and a can of soda.
Yeah. That's true.
But now you
yeah, and now I'm glad I stuck with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I would say the Dark Elves, Sam. That would fit perfectly with that question.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this then, as sort of a follow up to that. What do you think was the turning point for that army? I mean, let's be honest, you were at a pretty dark place with the Dark Elves. I mean, I remember several times where I thought you were going to pick models up and huck them across the room. What made it change to you where you like playing them now to the point where you've put them in this new campaign?
I think it was around the time, and I don't think it really has to do with this, but I got some influences, was the Kane book. Because Dark Elves were featured a lot. I mean, they killed off some of the characters I didn't like, except for one. But I think reading that, it just kind of saying, I could do something with this. And I think that was when I started toying with more different lists. and also doing my videos, which was what got me into it in the first place. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and getting everybody's feedback and positivity about them. I think those two things combined is what made me stick with them. And I'm glad I did.
I think it was just the fully manifested positivity of Nicholas Belair.
Yes.
That man fights for the Dark Elves like nobody I've ever seen. We routinely, if you're watching this, Nicholas, we routinely joke when Skip loses a game with the Dark Elves. It's like, damn, Nicholas is gonna be pissed off. And just thoughts that you are more emotionally invested in his army than he is, but it's just funny. But no, he's definitely been your big supporter of sticking with him. That's for daggum sure.
Yeah, he was very happy I decided to put him in the new campaign. So
I'd be interested in talking to him now after the first couple games to see if he's still happy. But
I should have won that one against the Warriors. I should have. That was my.
I absolutely 100% agree. But you know what? If the Chaos Gods are going to step up and make it so, then who am I to argue?
Exactly. And I can't be mad at him because I love the fluff that you've done with the Warriors.
Yeah, that Keldry and the Unhinged, I think, is going to be a star of this campaign. No matter how good or bad the Warriors end up doing, I think he's going to be a bright spot in it. But so, what about you, Michael? Have you ever gotten to a point with any of your armies that you were just like, "Fuck it," and then decided to just kind of keep pushing on?
Yeah, the Beastmen.
Okay, so I'll ask you the same question as Skip. What was the turning point, or what was the situation that made you kind of be like, "Screw it," and then what was the turning point?
Well, there's been many a situation where I'm just like, screw it, because
your BSB dies.
But not even just the BSB. It's like when you go from playing the dwarves and nothing ever breaks, and you have to kill me to a man, and I can just sit there all day.
Mm-hmm.
To the beastmen who have one bad turn and go, all right, time to leave the board, and just they'll go highway in their little forest home. But the reason I stuck with them is simply after a while I realized, all right, they're not dwarves. I really don't care if they die. I'm going to put models on the board, and I'm going to run forward, and I'm going to kill something, or it's going to kill me. And, oh no, I lost. I don't really care.
Right.
Except for the BSB, of course.
Yeah. For me, I mean, it's obvious. I've made no secret of the rough times I've had with the undead. And I don't want to make it seem like, whoa, what the heck? I just got super feedback.
I think Skip's headphones came out.
Yeah, it did. Sorry about that.
I wasn't even looking at the screen. I was looking at a comment we had, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing me yell in my own ear. That was disconcerting, my friend. But for me, the undead or the vampire counts have always been that sort of fuck it army. And I'll be honest, I don't know that I've found my turning point yet. Don't know that I will, or what it'll take. I have been growing more attached to them the more models I do for the army. But I still don't think I'm there yet. I've had fun the games we played, but I don't know. They kind of there's something that bugs me about how reliant they are on that character. And I don't know. I guess time will tell, and we'll see what happens if I can make them work. But right now, I'm honestly having too much fun focusing on the Warriors and the Lizardmen to try. So maybe next time like next campaign I'll rotate through my last armies and I'll just do Undead and Empire. provided those armies still exist come 9th edition. I don't know. What I need to do is I need to force myself to sit down and just play Empire until I either come up with a reason to flush them all down the toilet or come up with a reason to play with them. But sorry, what I was looking at is we actually got a comment. So,
No way.
yeah, we did. Somebody is actually watching and interested enough to respond to us. So, Lord of the Swarm asks, are there any armies that lend themselves to buying straight from battalion boxes? For instance, I know that Gore and Bestigore herds are good for Beastmen. So if I bought 4 battalion boxes, I get 80 Gore, 40 Bestigore, and 40 Ungors. Essentially, the Ungors are free, which is a great core of an army for $360. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but we know this one's right. That's the example you gave.
Oh, sorry.
The question is, are there any other armies that you feel are good buys from the battalion box?
Dwarves.
Yeah,
They're
dwarves.
in the battalion box.
Yeah. I'll say the ogres
Bretonnia?
are really good. The ogres are really good out of the battalion box
Mm-hmm.
because you get a bunch of ogres. You get what is it? I think it's 6, 4, and 4. No, I think it's 6, 6, and 4. So you get like 6 ogres, 6 iron guts, and 4 lead belchers, and maybe some noblars. I don't remember if there are any, but I mean, even that, like 2 or 3 battalion boxes are more than you're going to need ogre-wise for a 2,500 point army. You get a couple of characters and something to be a saber tusk or 2, and you can do a solid ogre army with that.
I think Bretonnia was pretty good. I mean, you get bowmen, you get peasants, and you get some knights. All you have to do is buy another box of knights and a trebuchet.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Now, let me ask this. Do you guys think that there's any army that particularly sucks out of the battalion box? Like you wouldn't want to use that to build on?
Maybe Tomb Kings. I don't know. I don't really know what comes in that box.
Yeah. I'll be honest, the demon battalion box sucks. Like it's terrible. You get like, I think you get 2 or 3 bases of Nurglings, 10 or 20 Daemonettes, 10 Bloodletters, and 3 Screamers of Tzeentch, and that's it. And I mean it's terrible. I mean you could buy 6 of those sets and still not have a decent army. So Lord of the Swarm fires back with another one. Also, do you feel like you play each army equally, or do you have a favorite army that you play all the time? And at what point does does it stop making sense to buy armies and models simply because you don't have enough time to play them all? Well, I definitely think we've all agreed kind of that where we're at now is definitely sort of our limit in terms of me and Skip both having 5 and Michael having 3. So I guess your question is one army enough is no. The answer is no. At least not for us. But in terms of do we feel we play each army equally? I don't know about you guys, but for me that's not true at all. I go through runs of wanting to play one army and just play it until I'm blue in the face. I mean that's why I'm not playing ogres right now, because I played them. I mean, all through the last campaign, plus I took them to brawlers, and I love my ogres, don't get me wrong, but I think it's just, like, I'm kind of sick of them right now. Or I want to play something different. I'd never be sick of my ogres, but I'm ready for something different. And so I'll probably play these lizardmen and the warriors until I'm sick of them, and rotate through. What about you guys?
Oh, I definitely overplay the dwarves. But that's never going to change.
Which is why I don't play the dwarves.
Because he always plays them?
Yeah, and I don't want to take away his thunder.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, have you even gotten in a game with the dwarves yet? I don't even remember if you did or not.
One.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
That's kind of sad, but
It is.
And then John Telby says that the jabber slights are great. Of course, he calls them jabber sloths. I don't know if you mean that specifically or if it was just an autocorrect. You fly them in front of assault units and let them charge you, and then you kill them with the strength 5 black blood hits. So they are the suicide bombers of the Warhammer world, is what you're saying, John.
He has too much faith in them.
I want to play them. Like I said, that's really that would be the one reason that would make me pick up the Beastman. Like is the freaking jabber slights and the like I would play with jabber slights. I would play with what the hell, the Razor Gores, even though it looks like just crazy Pumbaa.
Oh.
I would do chariots like crazy. Yeah, I would do Beastmen like that, and I would probably lose every game, but I would enjoy it.
I don't know. Razor Gores are pretty amazing.
Just do them because there's a core chariot for Beastmen, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, fill my core with nothing but chariots and Ungor Raiders. Fill my special with, what do they get for special that's good? They get the Centaurs and Razor Gores for my for my core or for my special, and then nothing but Jabber Slice for my rare.
My favorite thing is you said, "What's good in their special?" Centaur.
All right. Maybe I have a different definition of good.
Oh, that's funny, man.
But just for the record, if any of our viewers have those particular things laying around and want to help me build the craziest fucking list of Beastmen ever, send me a message and I'll tell you how to send them to me. But no, like it would be so weird just to like throw that down as your whole army and just be like, let's dance, fool. I mean, you'd never be stubborn to anything, but I mean, what are we looking at? In a 2,000 point army, let's just say 2,000 points because that's what we play somewhere around there. You're talking, what is that? 500 points of chariots and Ungor Raiders as your core. How much do the chariots cost, Michael?
They're 70 apiece.
So 70 apiece. So you do, what is that? 8?
460 would get you 8 of them.
So yeah, and then you do, that gives you 40 points for Ungor Raiders.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you got 8 chariots and what is that? Probably 10 or 20 Ungor Raiders.
5.
5? Oh, they're
Yeah.
like 6 apiece, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all right. You do 5. They're totally a chaff unit. Get a little bit of shooting in there. Then you do nothing in special but Centaur like big ass Centaur units.
God.
And Razor Gores. And then for your rares, you get your 2 Jabber Slights, which you can get. And they're what, 250 apiece, 275 apiece, something crazy like that.
They're expensive.
So that'd be your 5. Let's see, could you even do that at 2,000 points? Because you're limited to what, 25%?
You can't.
Yeah. All right, so we would have to do it at 2,500 so I could get my 2 jabbers in.
No.
That would be even more chariots.
Oh my god. It's funny because one shooting attack will hit those chariots, kill like 2 of them, and break the entire unit.
Mm. Well, no, you don't put them in units. You put them individually.
Even better.
Well, you laugh at that shit, but tell me that wouldn't be terrifying to have your little unit of dwarves get hit by 5 chariots at one time. And just be like, there's 5d6 plus 5 impact hits. And just vaporize you.
I don't worry, because at that point level, if you do not kill the entire unit, there's going to be one dwarf standing there, and he will never be killed.
Right. Out of curiosity, can you put beastmen characters on chariots? We'll just go the whole 9. Or can they ride monsters? I want
mages.
monsters.
The mages I know can go on chariots. I think the beast lords can too.
I would want chariots or monsters.
They can't ride monsters. They can ride chariots.
Okay, that makes me sad, but
just put them on razor gore chariots. Those are basically monsters.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot you got the. See, that's what I'll do. So I'll do Centigores, Razorgores, and Razorgore chariots as my special.
According to Army Builder, they can. The Beast Lord can go on a Tuscarora chariot.
Nice.
Right, they're Tuscarora chariots. They're the smaller versions.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's going to be my next army build once I get crazy enough to do one.
Insane.
I think I have snapped somewhere along the line. I'm not sure, but I like monsters. I want to play with monsters.
I must say the best thing on the thinking is the
if you guys were hip to me doing Legion of Chaos, I'd probably buy a Jabberslith now and put his ass in there.
You know what? You go ahead and play Legion of Chaos and buy yourself a Jabberslith. Because that means there'll be one model I don't have to worry about.
All right. I might have to do that. Well, I'm not buying anything until I get all these damn lizardmen painted first. But so, I think that's about all of our comments. Even though we went way off left field with that one from John, but whatever. Yeah, that's the last one. So, no other questions. So, any final thoughts you guys have about sort of your progression in Warhammer in terms of additional armies?
I've spent too much money.
Well, we all have. That's a given in this hobby. So,
my wife takes inventory now of what I have. So if it changes, she knows. She's got a good memory to remember stuff like that.
That's funny. That's like what Reef had that one episode where Martin's wife did the same thing. So he was having to send stuff to Reef and have him pretend it was presents or something stupid like that. Are we at that point now where you have to order stuff and send it to my house and that I just pretend to give you presents? Okay. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. I think that's good enough for tonight's show. I want to thank everybody who stuck through us. This was kind of a weird and esoteric topic, I guess. If you haven't noticed, we're having a little trouble coming up with things to talk about week after week. This is 39 weeks in a row. That is a lot of hours of chatting. So, if anybody has any random topic they would like to hear us cover and just bullshit about, please leave it in the comments, because we are certainly not above taking viewer feedback or stealing any idea if we think it's cool. So, thank you guys for being on the show again. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.